I want to talk about my grandfather. The only one that I met, because I never met my mom's dad. He died when my mom was in her 20s. My dad's dad, who was a hard man. And that's kind of what this is about. This hardness and this obsession that Western society specifically, but I know it comes from colonization and just the through line of masculine energy, of patriarchal domination. That's where domination comes from. It is this misunderstanding, this conflation of dominance with power that ego has, that masculine energy has. I'm not talking about genders, I'm talking about energy. And this obsession that especially Western culture has with it, and what it looks like. Being hard, being tough, being stoic, being this unbreakable, unflinching, immovable rock, this mountain of a person who is unbothered. And certainly if they are bothered by something, then they force it to change. They enact a change. And when change is happening that they don't want to happen, they take whatever matters into their own hands that they can to exert control, because there is comfort in the control. And we're taught to be controlled, to control ourselves, to control one another, to control our environment, our circumstances. And I know that this has programmed me, and it's programmed my father. And it's just been coming to mind a lot recently. I don't know what age he was when he passed. At maybe 89. Maybe older. My grandfather lived on his own. He was proud of that. He played tennis. He insisted on remaining active and on taking care of himself. And I'm not saying any of that is bad. Just seeing it in this broader picture. There's a difference between choosing to remain active because you want to continue experiencing what there is to offer and you don't want to remove yourself from it, and this kind of manufactured, enforced, scheduled activity that is a part of staying healthy. Whereas following the natural cycles of your body, you would find yourself at some time moving more and at other times moving less, and all of that would be healthy. Instead of this, again, every day or every other day, specifically scheduled activity, and it's this amount of time, and it's this intensity, and we do it for these reasons because it provides these benefits, we believe, and not because we want to. Not because it feels good to me today to move this way, because I just don't understand how it could feel good to any, and maybe I'm wrong. I could totally be wrong. I just don't understand how it could feel good to anyone to do the same thing at the same times all the time. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel natural. And in facing and experiencing the changing of my own physical form, and so much lately has been about the acceptance of transition, of every kind of transition, because every kind of transition is death. There's a huge flock of birds flying over right now. And we're taught to fight change. And yes, I believe in the continued vitality and vibrancy of health. I believe in the eternal nature of that. But I know also that this physical body is temporary. The form that it is, this carbon-based physical body, is temporary. I do believe that we are moving into a time that actually will transition life on this planet into non-carbon based organic existence, and one that actually lasts a lot longer. I believe that. I also believe in the perpetuity of consciousness, of the individual and collective experience of it. I know that what I am continues no matter what, and continues to be aware no matter what. Consciousness is not lost. Life is not lost. This body may dissolve, and it will, but that is not the end of me. And I do want to enjoy everything that this physical experience has to offer. And I want to enjoy embodiment in it. But I do not believe that that embodiment has to look or feel one specific way. I do not believe that health looks or feels one specific way. My grandfather lived a long time, and at the end of his life he was active and by all measures healthy. But I would not say he was a happy person. I would not say that he lived a happy life. And I can't know that for sure, again, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of this. I never sensed joy from him. He was so serious. Everything was serious. Everything was serious and measured and controlled and held onto. And here's the thing that says the most to me, that what mattered to him was control. And this is complicated too, and I am not saying that we don't get a choice. I believe, first of all transition is a choice. So I'm conflicted in the way that I feel about this, but he had a stroke. He had a stroke and he survived, but he had lost a lot of functionality. And he was being treated, and he was going to be moved into a care facility. And he killed himself. He shot himself. And my aunt found him. And I just don't know how I feel about that. Because again, I do believe in choice. And I do believe there are actually a lot of times where death is the natural course and we're doing all this stuff to prevent it. When it's time, we have a desire to release the physical form, to release that resistance. I just can't get past this feeling like it was a final act of control. You know, that he was going to go out on his own terms. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I can feel into it. I can absolutely feel into that headspace. I also feel the fear underneath it. This fear and this feeling of worthlessness. Because he had been a man's man. He had been a tough guy. He was in the Navy. And he lived his whole life hard, working hard, being hard emotionally, physically, tough, all around. He was just this rigid shell. And I can feel how terrifyingly vulnerable aging was, and especially the experience of having a stroke and losing his functionality. And that he just wasn't okay with that because he didn't feel safe. Because I'm projecting into it. I'm not saying this is 100% it. It's just the way it feels to me. I just feel how that mindset has kind of crept in recently. And I've been sick. I've been injured. And there's been this feeling like, oh no, I'm failing. You know, I'm failing myself. I'm failing this body. I'm not doing enough for it, which means I'm not doing enough. I need to move. And I fell into this fear-motivated action, this doing, this I gotta do in order to prevent. It was mixed, it's been mixed, it's still mixed. There is a part of me that recognizes there is a desire for motion, for more motion, but then my brain immediately takes over and says, okay, I know what the motion is. It's gotta be this, it's gotta be reps, it's gotta be specific, it's gotta be for this reason. Whereas my body is just saying, no, I wanna move, I wanna dance, I wanna walk, I wanna just get up and walk over there. I don't wanna do 50 jumping jacks and whatever. I don't want a routine. I just want to move. And to move for the sake of moving, not for a result, but because there's joy in it directly. Not for the joy of how I think this is going to change something, just moving to experience the motion of my body. That's it. And I keep injuring myself. That's what keeps coming up too. Every time I start imposing this activity, something happens, and then I can't do it. I'm trying to exercise. Not strenuous, not crazy, but it's still, I keep turning movement into exercise. And as soon as I do, my body has a reaction. Something happens that prevents me from continuing that exercise. And I can see now, I feel like I'm seeing now that it's because it wants me to understand something. It wants me to understand that this is not about being strong. That if my motivation is strength, it's not going to let that fuel me. Because the motivation for strength is coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of ego that says, I feel safe being strong. I don't feel safe feeling weak, what I perceive as weak, which is really just soft. It says I feel safe in my strength because in my strength I'm capable, and in my capability I'm worthy because I'm valuable. And it's afraid that in my softness, in my trusting, in my relying upon something other than my own physical efforts, that I'm vulnerable. It feels intensely vulnerable there, so it's intensely vulnerable in softness. But I feel that I am being drawn back to that again and again and again. And of course I am. And of course it is ego that creates this drive for hardness, for strength, for control, for mastery. What is there to master? Really? Mastery feels like a closed fist. It feels tiring. It feels like that's what I've been trying to do for countless lifetimes. Like I've been trying to master life instead of trusting it, instead of allowing life to breathe through me, to be what it is, instead of trusting that I am it and it is me, and as a part of this system and the whole system, I am taken care of. I am provided for. I don't have to fight for it. I don't have to compete. I don't have to prove myself or claim my place. It is held for me. It is formed around me. My existence ensures my support, is evidence of that support. I would not exist if I were not supported, if my existence were not supported fully by the universe. And I know I've been in a lot of resistance. Especially around the physical form. And I keep being told by my body, it's time to let that go. It's time to let go. It's time to let yourself go. We use that phrase as an insult. How much more backwards can we get it? How much more can we paint allowance in a negative light than to use that phrase as a condemnation? You've let yourself go. Yes, I have allowed myself to be. Yes, I am letting go. I am relaxing. I am trusting. I am releasing. I am softening. I am letting myself go. So that I can be. What the fuck else would I do? It's only ego that wants to hold on, that says that there is a self to hold on to. What would even be the opposite, the alternative of letting yourself go? Holding on to yourself? That's just ego holding on to the illusion of a singular set self that is really just an identity. When all of this is constantly changing. And none of it is actually even me. It's an expression. It's an extension. It's not the core. It's not the essence. It's not what I actually am, who I actually am. It's all just a move of a dance that goes on and on and on. I have to let the dance continue. I have to let one movement end so that another one can begin. I don't want to spend my whole life doing one move. How boring is that? So yes, I choose to let go. I choose to let myself go. I choose to soften into, to relax into the expression of all that I am in this moment. And then to let myself go from that moment to the next, so that I can invite the next. It's the same as an in-breath and an out-breath. I can't take another breath if I don't exhale. And as all things, it is a cycle, and it is continuous. That I am tired of holding on to myself, holding on, holding in, holding up. I'm tired of holding. I want to release. I'm tired of hardness. I want to be soft. I want to relax and to trust and to receive. I want to let it in. I feel like letting myself go means letting myself in. And holding on is holding out. That's what it feels like to me. So that's it. I'm gonna go make chocolate chip cookies. That's just a statement of fact. That's not a metaphor for anything. Have a wonderfully soft evening. I love you.